Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Founders Chair podcast. Andy Goldberg here. I'm delighted to welcome onto the show today Ines Pritchard from IPGN Solutions. Ines, welcome to the Founders Chair.
Hello, nice to see you.
Thanks so much for making the time to talk to us. We'd like to just find out about you personally first. If you could just tell us a little bit about your personal story, where you live, where you're from, your hobbies, family, anything like that. It's just so we can get to know the person.
Of course. So I'm originally from Latvia. I came to UK about 20 years ago for university. Was planning to stay only 4 years, but got pregnant in the fourth year of university. As it happens,
It
right?
happens.
So stayed here. Now I have two children, a dog, live in Aberdeen, and a very long career in a corporate world in the energy sector. So I guess we miss the hobbies. That is very important. I actually, the only hobby that is my absolute favorite is reading, and in a way, it's kind of a vice because I can stay up to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning reading a good book, which my
Mm,
husband can't understand, right? But if it's such a gripping book, you just want to
yeah.
continue reading it and be excited about that. But yes, which is why it can be a vice. You have to stay up and read it. And then next morning in a meeting, I would be a little bit yawning, but we would get through the day.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay, well maybe after this call we'll swap
The
book
book.
recommendations because we read a lot as well. So I love to get good recommendations for a good book. Something that'll keep me up till 4 in the morning. Um,
I
so
can I can give it a try.
how just this isn't part of the interview, but how is the energy industry in Aberdeen at the moment? Is it in decline? Is it holding steady? Okay,
Decline.
yeah.
In decline. And, sadly, the government policies are not very smart. Sorry, it's not that they're very smart, but there's a difference between you think short-term goals versus long-term goals, right? So while people think of the renewable and they think that this is a long-term goal, but the initiatives that they're putting across are obviously not as wise, so to speak. You can't just cut one and move into other. It's same as in any corporation. If you just do that, things fall apart, cracks appear, and
Yeah.
then same situation here. So sadly, Aberdeen is not doing that well. Lots of redundancies. I mean, loads of redundancies, and it has been not good for the last, I would say, last while, so it's a shame. It's on a negative note, it's a city in decline, actually.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a shame because it's a lovely city. It's always been a good night out and lovely
not,
people. Yeah.
not anymore.
No.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. I mean, like, it's not that I wouldn't recommend, they're trying. There's some initiatives that are good. In fact, we have a very good support and here for the businesses, actually. Sir Ian Wood's foundation originally part something as Opportunity Northeast. Have you ever heard of it?
I
No?
haven't, no.
They're very good. So it's like, have you heard of TechScaler or Codebase? So they kind of support the businesses in a digital environment. So Opportunity Northeast support startups. They give the advice, coaching, mentoring, send them to different things, So it's very, very, very good for the founders,
Yeah.
on that kind of thing.
So they're putting in the effort in to kind of revive commerce in the city
Yeah.
in other ways. Like if it's not going to be oil and gas, then they need to do it another way. So, you know,
Yeah, they're trying, so but that's the foundation. That's obviously somebody from oil and gas who's put the money towards it and supporting the development and reskilling in that kind of area.
so tell us your story of how the business began. At what point did you have the confidence to go into business for yourself? Like you came over here for university, started a family. One day you just decided I'm going to be a business owner.
Not precisely that. Do you know what? I guess it was inevitable in a way because my dad was a business owner Well, he was an entrepreneur in this truest sense, and actually a lot of authors and entrepreneurs will tell you that there are signs when the kids are little, like somebody buying large boxes of chocolates and selling them on at a price, high level. That is a sign of entrepreneurship at its early stage. So I kind of had that kind of mind, and I went to business school in Latvia. Then I went to the politics international relations degree in UK, and I never wanted to go back into business. But I changed the tune in my kind of 20s, and I thought I would like to do something. My mentor then, as a part of the GE, uh, we all know General Electrics, right? And he said that I'm not ready there, in my 20s. And I thought, okay, we'll leave it aside. Then about 5 years ago, I had a burnout, which is very difficult to come back. And, stats say that about 90% of those who went to burnout don't come back to the same kind of levels of the
Mm.
work they've done before. So I went back and I decided I want to change the way I worked, and I wanted to help my colleagues in the business to prosper and do better by creating a systemized approach. So that was my kind of first way in. And then a few years ago, by the time I did a training on how to do the business, like refresh myself. And we just decided to part the company and actually put our full on effort and start the business and just create a digital transformation company. So that was kind of how we went in without any experience prior in anything technologically related. My background is not that, but it just so happens that, if you're very good with translating your problems into visible solutions and and see how you can streamline the processes, you don't have to be a digital genius.
Okay, so you didn't choose your market based on your expertise. You just chose it based on you think there's a market.
We chose the market a little bit both ways. We knew that we could serve SMEs. Yeah, we knew that we had all this corporate background. So Graham had 40 years experience running engineering teams. He was Six Sigma black belt. He worked with GE for, all 40 years essentially with different companies with in power plants, nuclear and kind of, oil and gas. And I was within the background of the airspace and obviously energy as well. So by the time we walked out, we were like, what can we do that we know we can help the businesses, and our common knowledge in actually trying to find the solutions and the problems that we couldn't solve in a corporate world? We thought, you know what? You don't need to have a complex system. You just need to know what you're doing. That is difference. And once you know that, it was easier to establish, and we're like, but I can tell you, I did pivots. Like we walked out with one idea, and I think we walked out in September. I had a surgery, which was, by the way, I mean, I didn't know that I had to have surgery, so that was a bit of a boo-boo. I walked out, and there was an SPE offshore conference a month later, and I thought I'm gonna go and see if our idea is good, right? Because what we had in mind was fantastic, but what the reality doesn't always meet it. So you kind of, that is actually one of the advice. Do your customer validation earlier. You can research as much as you want. And I did. I mean, a year prior, I started building and researching and thinking, this is what we're going to do, and so on. We walked into SP Offshore. We thought, we're going to build a brilliant project management system. We walk around, we speak to people, and we realize, yeah, this is not gonna roll, is it? Because it doesn't matter that you have your best intentions in mind. And we walk around, and we were very fortunate. I met a guy, Alex Leddy, commercial director of intervention rentals, and he had a vision. He had a vision that he wanted to digitalize and commercialize their sales process and go beyond that. So we started talking with him, and I was like, he says, why don't you just go and start with CRM and sales process? And I'm like, I didn't really want to do it. Well, I guess we're going to do it if you sign a collaboration agreement with us. And they did. a month later they did, and we started researching and we started coding and programming it in January, and we went live with the first version, MVP 1 of the software application 5 months later. So it was very fast turnaround, but like the basic version, and we had to, and this was last year. It was very fast.
Right. Okay.
So,
So tell us about IPGN Solutions right now. What's your key product and who's your kind of target audience?
so our key products, I guess we are still going with a digital transformation company, yeah. But our whole principle was that we will be focusing and fixing the gaps and trying to provide that end-to-end operational systems. Yeah. So our first product was the CRM and built up, and it's fully customizable for the users, which is what gives us an advantage over other CRMs, that the users can continuously adopt the system. They don't need to go and pay extra for us to do that. So that was the big thing. We've also integrated AI agents inside, so which is kind of really cool thing to do. A lot of people have a scare factor of that, but the way we're doing it, it's like a slow merger. We have agents in the emails, and we've built an agent to research companies, and the one we're just pushing out now for the CRM is the agents that could actually, you can speak with the business data that you have. So if you end up having the CRM, project management, and finance inside there, you can converse with your information, all the system data you have. You don't need to go to 3 different systems. You just have one, and your procedures, maintenance, all that, all in one. So that's kind of where we are going. We just wanted the one pitch up, but not SAP or Oracle, which we know be very long and tedious and
Yeah.
difficult and expensive. And you're talking about which markets we are after. We knew from our experiences we wanted to go for services markets. The companies that typically don't get served are services companies. They end up going and buying vanilla products, or if they go tailoring, it costs them an absolute arm and leg, fortune in a tailoring of the system. So we thought, well, you can customize yourself. I mean, the people are so intelligent now, you would think so, that they can go in and do, and they do. There's always somebody in a company who is viz enough to go and do the things, so that's kind of where we are going with. So we built the CRM. We're now launching into the project management and asset management. We've got the AI agents, and we do the AI training as well. So some might think it's too wide, but actually it really contributes towards each other, and it makes it so much easier, so at least for us and for others.
I mean, it's a good thing to have a wide breadth of products and services because you've got different things to offer your customers that come along. I think what people are concerned about is you don't want to confuse your customers. You don't want to confuse your message, right? So as
Yes,
long as
yeah.
people are clear on who you are and what you're about, yeah, have all the products in the world for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
no, not all the product. I mean, end-to-end solution is really what we were after, and we're still going to be after it, just because we have the, AI capacities.
sure.
It means that we can add to all of this one in one system. You can add what you need for your business, and that is the difference. You can make it your own system.
What would you say? Okay, so we kind of heard about the story of how the company started, and what would say has been your biggest learning as a business owner since you became a business owner?
Well, I mean, like, there's been so many learnings, becoming in the business. I think the biggest one was ability to pivot. Yeah, so it's you sometimes you have to pivot. As I said to you, I walked into that conference and I realized our original plan is not gonna cut it. So we're gonna have to change the strategy straight away. And the ability to accept it, don't get stuck on, your one vision. As
Hmm.
long as it's within the parameters of the vision, I think is good. And we had the pilots when we went to San Francisco. Last year we went there, and this was actually Scottish government through the Tech Scaler, which was really fantastic program. We went there and we realized we've got the skills in the area. Why not utilize it and bring it across? Because there's so much talk about and buzzwords about the AI, but none of them are looking at beyond marketing, sales. Let's tailor your message. Let's make nice pictures and some odd workflows. None of them are trying to think, well, how can we make it that the small businesses can benefit of it within their own kind of framework? Don't get hung up on all these other buzzy words. Just make it your own, so to speak. So yeah, so pivoting was one of the biggest thing, and it comes with a cost as well, obviously. Time, you
Sure.
know.
It's like starting over.
It's like you kind of, yeah, you definitely we had to diverse and spend some time with continuing what we did, and the other time, alternatively. So, and I took an opportunities, to do that and think of it. And it complements very well, and oh my God, the amount of learning technically we had to do, absolutely unbelievable, but the stuff that we can do now, we wouldn't have been able to do 9 months ago, not even 3 months ago, because that area changes so fast, but it also helps us with our own development, so that kind of yeah, pivoting, ability to pivot
Okay, that's a
was.
big one. Yep. So who would you say have been the biggest inspirations in your business life, in your professional life? Who are the role models or the mentors that have challenged and pushed and inspired you the most?
So I would say my dad actually. As it sounds. So he's from USSR times, from Latvia, and I'm not sure how much of awareness people have, but I mean it was very tough upbringing, and no food, nothing, a lot of the times very difficult it was for him. And he had to come up with ideas how to make money, whether it was Led Zeppelin or Beatles posters that he would then go upstairs and kind of change it, replicate, and then sell it for the 5 pennies to get it out. So he was a massive inspiration. And actually, when I was a kid, he pushed me. And parents, they should really push their kids to do the things that they typically wouldn't do. So one of the memorable occasions, I mean, there was quite a few, but my dad gave me money, set of money. He says, right, I need to go away. There's 130 quid. You need to buy this part, this part, this part. You need to get it to that amount because it actually costs twice as much. But if you can negotiate it cheaper, that can stay with you. He left me for 2 hours by myself, and I was maybe about 14. So, and I end up negotiating with the Mackies in a part shop and getting it even cheaper than that. So I could, I took the rest of the money for myself. I was very happy, so that was a massive early inspiration, making sure that kind of I got that business nuggets inside there and doing. And I guess my other inspiration was and influenced me very much. She doesn't know it, but it was one of my childhood friends. She pushed me towards going for the business school, which was in capital city. It was one of the top three schools in Latvia, and it's very difficult to get into it. And I didn't think I could do it because you kind of feel you're not smart enough. That's for one, and that's not where I wanted to go. It's like I just want to follow the standard path, go with all of my classmates, and go to this, the local high school. And she's like, no, let's go with us, And so she pushed me. I had to go for a training and had to pass the entry exams to get there. And that was a massive pivotal role for me to then move from what I originally thought to then going through the business school, and now I'm 20 years later, I actually rely on the learnings from the commercial school that I attended, so that's kind of those two are big inspirations from my early life, so to
Okay.
speak.
Big shout out to your dad and to your childhood friend. That's amazing.
She's a lawyer. She doesn't do business nowadays. It's
Okay.
quite funny.
So, Ines, what's the next big thing for you in your business? What do the next 1 to 3 years look like in terms of opportunity and growth and challenges? What are going to be the bumps in the road that you can expect? But where are you going?
So the next thing is we're actually launching a bit more proper campaign to drive the sales for the CRM because now that it's kind of completed, we want to then move into the next level, a next development stage. A lot of it is like an RD and make sure that the AI agents that we integrate will work. We're also doing our first AI training packages. So we're doing one in a few weeks' time. So see how is that going to be taking on? So kind of expanding in the different areas. And then we tried to go last year to Middle East. So that might be an expansion zone that we might take on board within the next year or two. We've got the contacts there, and one of my other childhood friends stays in Dubai, and she has her own startup. So yeah, we have a direction where we're moving in terms of our growth, and I would love to explore that direction as well. So that's the aim there.
Well, we're going to keep a close eye and watch, and we're going to watch what happens, right? I want to see that, see where that takes you, see where the next stage in your life for IPGN solutions. But
You never know where it brings us, right? And I might have to pivot again and just
right, well,
accept.
that's what I was going to say. Is like you're an expert in pivoting, so we may need to do it again. What
Exactly.
any final advice you would have for business owners who are thinking about going out on their own, who are just starting out?
I think uh, there's kind of, I thought about, I was thinking there's kind of three things that I would pass in a wisdom. It's very generic, but it also can apply for everything else. So one is take a chance in first place. Don't be afraid. I mean, there's so many no's, and everybody's going, like I, it's an opportunity that you will regret if you don't make. Yeah, even if it's a failure, it is an opportunity to take and learn, and who knows what's going to come up. So the second one is, obviously the pivot and adapt. You could hear that how much I said that it's like kind of meeting a failure and then just run with it and take on and just change. Yeah. And the third one, and this is quite important, and it's very probably more so important nowadays, is find somebody to confide into, because very often that founder's journey is so difficult journey and it can be lonely. And so if you don't have somebody to bounce it off, and I don't mean the family and or husband and the kids, right? It's different, because sometimes you just need to speak with somebody who is in the same pain point as you are,
Yeah.
right? And I have somebody. First of all, my obviously colleague and partner, Graham, is absolutely brilliant. Honestly, the best guy ever. But and then the second one is actually my friends in Dubai, and we call it founders therapy. Here you go, one for you.
Founders,
Founders
yeah, I like that.
therapy.
I like that.
Yeah.
As long as there's no collusion, right? So if you got two people in the same pain point, then you all just talk about how terrible the world is. What you need somebody to say, okay, no, we're not going to go there. We're gonna put our heads together and solve these problems. So,
Yeah, no, it
um,
is good. So yeah, it's
but that
it's
is great
pretty basic.
advice. It's lonely. Like it's a lonely world being a business owner. So it's important to have those people. Um,
Yeah, especially if you are the CEO, and it's different when besides being a founder, if you run the company, it doesn't matter, how much you're trying, you're still gonna have sleepless nights. You're still gonna constantly think of, have I done the right thing? And sometimes you can't say that to your founder because you don't want to lose that, you know, not only the drive, but you don't want to put it down, you don't want to put a damper. You have to be the one to cheer on, but who's going to cheer you on?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, look, Ines, we've come to the end of our time. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, and finding out more about you and your business and your journey. So thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yep. You're welcome. Hopefully,
Uh,
it's going to help someone.
I think so. I think so. That's the feedback we get. If anybody's listened to this, message me or message Ines and tell us what you think from it. We want to know. We want to know what your top takeaways were. Um,
Yeah. I was saying, did you watch the Barbie, the movie?
of course I did. I've got a young daughter. No, she's not that young. Yeah.
So, on a trip to San Francisco, a woman there I met, Samantha Clark. She's one of my friends now, and she said to me, "If all the Barbies in a world would help other Barbies, the world would be a better place." And corny as it is, I think if we help somebody else along the way, we should do it. You know?
Yeah, 100%. Life lessons from Ines and life lessons from Barbie.
Yes.
Love it. Only here on the Founder's Chair. Um, so thanks to all our listeners and to our viewers for tuning in as always. Really appreciate your support and keep an eye out for more interviews coming soon on the YouTube channel and on LinkedIn. It just leaves me once again to say thank you very much, Ines from IPGN Solutions, for sitting in the Founder's Chair with us today. Thank you.
You're welcome.